Alright, this is the last video. Like I said, I'm going to do this problem since I didn't do it in the last one. Alright, so we have here, we're distributing. So 2 times D is, we know, 2D. And 2 times -3 is -6. And we know we're just going to bring down our sign. So we also know we're going to add 6 to both sides. And we're adding because we're doing the opposite of what we already have here. So we know that these 6's cancel, and we're left with 2D. Excuse me, bring down our sign. It's greater than 10. So now we have to divide on both sides to get this D over here alone. So now we're left with D is greater than 5. Okay? Sorry about the D, but I'm doing the best that I can without my pen and board. Okay? So we're going to come over here to this 5. And we know we need an open circle because we don't have a line underneath this inequality, right? So we're going to choose 2 test points. I'm going to use 0 and 9. Alright, so if we use 0 for D, is 0 greater than 5? No. Alright, let's look at 9 for our test point. Is 9 greater than 5? Yes, 9 is greater than 5. So therefore, we know we're going to shade in this direction. Right? So let's look down here. Oh, I've already worked these. But since I have time, I'm going to erase them. Okay, so as you can see, what happened over here. Alright, so we have 1/2. We'll draw my lines first because we're distributing. We have 1/2 times x, which gives us 1/2 x. Now we have plus 1/2 times 28, which gives us 14 because half of 28 is 14. We're going to bring down what we have left, which is less than 11. Alright, so first we're going to subtract 11. Not subtract 11. Can't subtract 11 because 11 is on this side by itself. We're going to subtract 14 from both sides, right? Alright, so we have 1/2 x is less than equal to a -3 because 11 minus 14 is -3. So now what we have to do is the opposite of division, which is multiply. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal over here. Remember? So we're just throwing in everything that we've recently learned. We know that this cancels, and we're left with x is less than equal to -3 times 2 gives us a -6. And we know that this could be the over 1, and it'll just still be -6 if we were to put it over 1. So we know that we're going to draw a dot, right? Because there's a line underneath here at, not at +6, but at -6. Okay? And we're going to use -10 and we can use +10 for our test points. Okay, so if we use -10 first for x, if we say -10 is less than -6. Is that true? I think it is. Okay, so if we come over here and we use 10 for our x, for our next test point, we say that 10 is less than -6. Well, no, 10 is much greater than -6. So therefore, we know that we're going to draw, or shade rather, I don't know why I keep saying draw, we're going to shade in this direction, and what I should have done is made my dot different color so that we can see it better. Okay, so we want to make sure that we can see that there's a dot if we aren't using an open circle. All right, so this problem is pretty complicated, so let's take a look at it. So we have here 2 is greater than equal to 5/3, and then we have in parentheses d minus 6. So we are distributing first. Okay, so I'm going to write this 2 because we're just going to bring that down. 2 is greater than equal to 5/3 d, because we're distributing, right? Minus 5/3 times -6 equals, I'm going to give you a few seconds to pause me and use your calculator. It's 10, right? Okay, so now what we have to do is add 10 to both sides. Okay, so these 10s cancel, and we're left with 12 is greater than equal to 5/3 d. And remember, in order to simplify this, we must multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. Multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. So we know that on this side, we're just left with d. So we're going to bring down our inequality sign because we're not multiplying by anything negative, so we know it doesn't flip. All right, so now we have 36, because that's what 3 times 12 is, over 5. You're probably like, whoa, what am I going to do with 36 over 5? What I want you to do is convert that to a decimal. Let's convert 36 over 5 to a decimal. And once you do that, you'll realize that it's like 7.2-ish. So we're going to put a dot here. Excuse me, not on the 7, not in the middle between 7 and 8 because it's not 7.5. So we're going to put it closer to the 7. And there's my dot. And it's a dot because it is, I want to make it just a little bit bigger, because it's a dot because it has a line underneath the inequality sign. I want to make it bigger, but I don't want to make it touch 7. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to make it. Okay, so we're going to use 1, and we can use 11 for our test points, okay? So is 36.5, well, is 7.2 greater than 1? If we use 1, is 7.2 greater than 1? Yes, 7.2 is greater than 1. All right, so let's look at 11 for our test point. Is 7.2, so I'm going to rewrite this here, is 7.2 and D. Is 7.2 greater than 11? No, it is not. So therefore, we know that we have to shade going in this direction, right? From what we just saw from our test points, we have to shade in this direction. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. Okay? So let's look at the next 2 problems. Trying to check my time. Okay. Let's look here. We have, I've already worked it. Let me erase. Okay. So let's look at this one. We know we're going to subtract 1 from both sides first. When we do that, we're left with a -2, because a -1 plus a -1 minus 1 gives us -2. And we have less than equal to a over -2. And we know that we must multiply by the reciprocal. And this is a -2 over 1. -2 -2 over 1. All right. I'm just going to put that over 1. -2 times a -2 gives us a +4. And since we multiply by a negative number, we know that we have to remember to flip our sign. And we also know that these cancel, and we're just left with 1. Excuse me, A. Well, 1A, but we don't write the 1, we just write A. Okay, so let's put our dot. We know it's a dot because we have a line underneath this inequality sign. So we're going to put our dot at 4. Okay, and now we're going to use 2 test points. We're going to use -1 and we're going to use 9. All right. So if we use -1, we're looking to see if 4 is greater than -1. Yes, 4 is greater than -1. What about this 9? Is 4 greater than 9? No. So we know that we're going to shade going in this direction. All right, so this video is also about to end because I'm limited to time. So you can see this one has been worked. So you can always just kind of pause the video if you can understand my handwriting. I'm kind of not using a pen, and go from there, guys.